John Boy. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out. Oh no, that is horrible. John says a mouse got into their grow area and has been eating Tabasco pepper plants. Oh my. Well, wouldn't want to know what's going to come out of the other end of that mouse because those are spicy. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. I had a busy weekend. I had so much going on in terms of just plants, nothing else. Just plants got me busy all weekend. So over the last several weeks on these lives, I was germinating some flower seeds, trying to use my aeroponic system to my advantage to be able to get a head start on the summer season indoor plants. And I successfully moved them outside over the weekend. I have 38 zinnia seedlings, I think 30 celosia seedlings, which half of them are still here. I'm trying to get them to grow faster, which I'll get to that in a minute. And I have so many dahlias growing now, which I didn't anticipate, but the tubers that I didn't store properly sprouted, and so now I've got a garden that is just popping, I guess. All these sprouts are popping out of the soil, and yeah, it was a good weekend. So now I have some more space to work with in the towers and in the grow tent. I made several changes this weekend, so forgive me if I jump around a little bit, but I am going to try to just give you guys the rundown on some of the changes that I've made over the last couple of days. Some of them were after I got off the live, for example. Pro Pyro says, I saw the outdoor video. Happy Monday, Pro Pyro. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, if you guys want to learn more or know more about what I'm talking about, I posted 2 shorts yesterday. One was me getting my flower starts that you guys watched me start in this tent. So one of the shorts is me getting them outside, planting them in the garden. And the other one is just, I keep talking about this flower garden and you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. So this is a short that I just posted of last year's flower garden. So yeah, racing last year and I was so worried about certain things that now I don't care. I just, whatever happens, happens, and I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to have fun with it because plants are so resilient, you guys, that who cares about the spacing? So even though my garden is smaller than it was last year, it's actually going to be much larger in terms of density and quantity. The flowers will be much more dense. But yesterday's live, so on Saturday, as soon as I hopped on the live, I had issues with my bucket system, with the pumps, not with the pump, with the filter. There was something going on. I had some kind of leak. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I had like small little leaks all over the place. And then, was it yesterday? Yesterday or 2 days ago? Oh yeah, so on Saturday when I went on the live, I saw that for whatever reason, I'll take you guys and I'll show you. What's up, Mia Lifestyle? Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Okay, so this is where the water goes in from the reservoir. This is the pump, and this is where water gets pushed out to all the lines in the buckets. Now, for whatever reason, this was popped out. So when my pump wasn't working, the first thing I thought of was, okay, maybe the filter, there's a filter in here. And I thought, you know, sometimes the filter, there's a lot of debris. If you guys saw me clean the nozzles yesterday, you understand what I'm talking about. So this filter sometimes gets clogged up, and so I have to wash it and plug it back in, and everything works accordingly. But yesterday, or 2 days ago, that wasn't the case. Actually, this ended up popping out, which is odd because even if I swing this around or bump it, it's pretty snug in there. So what I think actually happened is I had so much debris in my nozzles that there was so much pressure in the lines, and it actually caused the water outlet line to just pop out of its socket. So I had to go yesterday. If you guys joined me on yesterday's live, it was really freaking boring, so I apologize, but As I promised, I show you guys everything that I do in here, the good, the bad, the boring. So like I said yesterday, if I've got to suffer and do, you guys got to suffer and watch me. I'm just kidding. I don't want anyone to suffer, but I had to go around and do the tedious task of removing all the nozzles, so I still have the second bucket system components just to show you all the nozzle heads, all the springs, the pistons, and I had to scrub them clean with a little tiny brush. And then once everything was clean, I hopped off the live thinking, okay, I'm just gonna quickly screw back into the buckets and everything's gonna work accordingly. I screwed them back into the buckets and the water still wasn't circulating accordingly. So then I had to run the water without the nozzle heads to force any debris that was stuck in the lines out. And then I was able to put the nozzles back on, or the heads back on. And now everything works like butter. Everything is getting watered so well. However, I did have this, so I'm gonna start going into the changes that I made. So when I things this morning, because I did have the water off for a couple of hours yesterday while I was trying to isolate the issue, and then today I walked into a tent and one of my pepper plants, shout out to Ogo for this sweet purple Ogo net pot, but one of my pepper plants, as you can see, the roots are kind of struggling, and so for whatever reason in the buckets the water was targeting the roots, because the roots are obviously off to the side, and so the plant that was in the bucket with it is doing great, but for whatever reason this one was honestly almost dead. The leaves were just completely dried up. I truly thought I lost it, but thankfully, because this net pot is a cone shape, even though it is not the size of my tower, I actually just stuck it in here just to get the roots the water that they need fast. It's like an emergency fix, and we've got life again. So even though it was a stressful morning, it's actually a great way to start off the day, because it just shows you that if you check things or give it some attention, a lot of the time things aren't as bad as they seem. And plants are so resilient that it's a good feeling when your plants bounce back. So I am really glad that I got that one back on track. I've worked so hard for my pepper plants. I don't want to lose it now. What else is new? Yesterday, I had my first orange tower harvest. Okay, so one thing I need to make note of before I move any further, the orange tower lettuce is so much better than the green tower lettuce. Same seeds, same variety, same nutrients, same everything. But for whatever reason, when the orange tower, I guess when the lettuce started really growing, I turned on the air conditioning because the weather got really hot out. And so now the tent is cool and it's accommodating the cool weather crops, because my lettuce, the way it's forming now, actually looks like an upright romaine head versus the ones in the green tower where it was kind of growing open, and it obviously bolted quite quickly. And these are not bolting. And the flavor, I thought the green tower lettuce was phenomenal, but this, oh my gosh guys, it's unmatched. It was so good. So a lot of the time I just for dinner have an entree size salad with a protein. So I call it like kind of like a cheeseburger salad, some ground beef, like a bowl of lettuce. I toss it with my dressing, and then I make a hole like a nest, and I put my ground beef, layer it with cheese. But the ground beef mixture, I harvested some fresh dill and fresh parsley. Well, I don't grow garlic, but I had garlic in there, onion, and made this whole ground beef mixture, layered it with cheese in my salad. Oh my gosh, guys, it was so good. And I have this often, but I had yet to try it with fresh herbs in the ground beef mixture, and it was amazing. It was so good that I'm really pleased with the results of the orange tower, and I think I just got to do a good job at regulating the temperature to make sure that I continue to have good harvests. So today's a day where I'm like, wow, I feel really proud of myself because, wow, my food tastes great. So, all right, what else did I change? What else did I do differently? Well, In terms of the buckets, all of these are now gone. So I had one sprouting tray left here with celosia flowers that I kept breaking the root on camera when I was trying to transfer it. So then this morning, because they've been in there for so long, I got to get them in the ground. So I just thought, you know what, let me try to get them in the bucket. I've already got bloom. If they make, or sorry, the buckets already have the bloom fertilizer. If they make it, they make it. And if they don't, they don't. So that is one change. No more seedlings in the paper towel. They've all been moved to the buckets in hopes of getting them to grow faster. The dahlias, I actually moved them out of the tower and in the buckets because, again, bloom fertilizer. So I'm trying to think about, I'm trying to think more of, okay, they don't need water and a place to stay. What do they need to optimize their growth and make sure things happen as fast as possible? So that is part of the reason why I spend so much time in this tent, is because I'm always trying to think of how to make things grow faster, how to make things better. So hopefully the dahlias will grow quicker. The zinnias, so here's the funny thing, is I pruned off all the suckers from the original one that we harvested, and now I got nothing else going. So I don't know if we're gonna get some new ones or if that's it and I screwed up. We're gonna find out. But these other ones have some suckers growing, which are side shoots. These little side shoots here, we want that because the more branches, the more blooms. So that is what we want. Yes, John Boy, vapor, it's actually, I believe, vapor pressure deficit, and I'm just starting to learn about it because I do have this Pulse Pro here, which I've been putting it off to figure it out, but I really got to get on that and learn it. All right, other than that, oh, what's another change I made? I put the strawberries in the buckets for the same reason that I put the dahlias in the buckets. A, the strawberries were in hydroclay and I want them out of the hydroclay, and B, the bloom fertilizer in it, and I'm trying to get them to produce runners so that I can propagate them, because the goal is to fill that yellow tower with all strawberries. So I can do it with one plant because each plant has both male and female parts within the same flower. You can actually, you have to hand pollinate indoor strawberries, but you can do it yourself. What's up, Mindset? Oh, cool. Greetings from Germany. Very cool. So that is what I've changed. So I'll just take you down the line here and show you everything. Watermelons are doing great. This guy here start to grow some tendrils, so hopefully we'll get it on the trellis soon. I've got 4 of them, so we'll see, maybe they'll start to flower. Again, the buckets do have the bloom fertilizer in it, so we moved it from the tower to the buckets in hopes of supporting the plant better with the nutrients it requires. I don't know, something is still going on with my nozzles. Do you see how it's like choppy? I don't know. I gotta clean the lines, you guys, which is a pain. Chinese 5-color pepper. Oh my gosh, it starts off as purple and then they go to pink, red, orange, yellow, and you've got all 5 colors on the plant at once, which is super exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. That's my first time growing that. This, I don't know what kind of pepper it is, but we're going to figure it out. Because it is significantly larger than the other plants, I'm wondering if it's a poblano pepper, because those are larger peppers. And this one, I don't know what it is either, but we're going to see. It's going to be a surprise, you guys. As for the strawberry, it's been growing for several weeks now, but I don't know. Even in the last hour since I put it in the bucket, I see new leaves unfurling. So seems to be doing quite well. So many peppers, you guys. I've got peppers everywhere. I got bell peppers, more bell peppers, more bell peppers. I'm trying to get peppers as large as possible. So I've been pinching off anything more than 7 flowers off my plant. Apparently, you can't have more than 7 in order to produce a properly sized bell pepper. So I find that interesting because at the store, when you buy organic peppers, even though they're not as large as the conventional peppers, they're still pretty big. And so I don't know if you've been following my journey since the beginning, but if you have, you know how small my bell peppers were. They weren't bad, but if you're looking to do something like stuffed peppers or something that involves or requires a larger sized fruit, then it can be challenging. So I'm really trying to not only just be able to grow food, but grow good food so that if one day somebody wanted some or I sell it, like I want it to be the quality where I could just go and sell it. I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm just saying I want it to be nutrient dense, I want it to taste good, and that is my main focus right now. Before I move on with showing you guys what else is new, I'm just actually going to, because today is a pruning day, so I am going to just clean my pruners. Get all my stuff clean. I also have to make 3% H2O2 today, so we're also going to be working on that. Just get all my pruners clean. So I just used 29% hydrogen peroxide and just let that soak for a little bit. Yeah, everybody, listen to Pyro and smash that like button. We finally have fruit growing. Come on, people. All right. I'm just kidding. No pressure. So yeah, tomatoes, I'm just anxiously waiting for them to ripen. Look at this cucumber. It is getting so freaking large. I don't know how they're supposed to get. I do have to Google that to figure out when I should harvest it. We had a female flower open this morning. As you can see, she's all tattered because I pollinated the crap out of her. And I've got some other female flowers, more cucumbers, so I'm very excited. Again, if you've been following my journey, know the challenges I've had with cucumbers, so I am very excited to report that I think I'm gonna get a healthy plant with more than one cucumber, which is very exciting. What's up, Spanish Dre? Thank you for joining. Mia Lifestyle says, wow, nice growth on your cucumber. Yay. I know, right? That's what she said. No, I'm just kidding. I like to have fun and joke around times, you guys. I watch The Office too much. All right, tomatoes. Thank you so much, Spanish Dre. I have been working so hard in my garden, but one thing that's weird, I don't know why these tomatoes are shaped like an oval, but anyway, see, not all princesses have manners, Mia Lifestyle. I'm just kidding. Tomatoes are doing so well, so I'm just anxiously waiting for these to ripen. Don't know why they're taking so long, but here, more. And then now, because I've been upping the bloom fertilizer, we've got tons of flowers just ready to pop with tomatoes. I don't know if you guys can see, but we are going to get an abundance, which is super exciting. On the topic of tomatoes, one thing I want to show you guys, look like little eggs. Yeah, that's exactly what they look like. Okay, so if I had, okay, first of all, I have tomatoes in the tower, and we have our first tomato tower growing. I mean, tower tomato growing. However, look at this. You see that spotting on the leaves? So it's only happening on the tomatoes in the tower and nowhere else. And I think, so if I had these in the buckets, I would think that I had some kind of mildew or some kind of fungus. But what I think is happening is actually a deficiency. I had these in the buckets with bloom, and then they broke, and I propagated them and put them in the tower and said to myself, let me just leave them in the tower and see how they do. But now they've got this spot on the leaves, and I think it's some kind of nutrient deficiency. Everything else is super, super, super healthy. All the plants in the tower, I've inspected them thoroughly. And when I say thoroughly, I mean like thoroughly. I spend all my time in here. Everything else is extremely healthy. So it's really interesting. It's got to be a deficiency. It's probably lacking, obviously, the bloom. So I'll probably have to move it into the bucket system and see if that goes away. But I thought I would show you guys because stuff like that helps me learn what I'm looking at. So if my tomato were in the buckets had that, I would probably think that it's something else and out and throw them all out. But now that I see, okay, it came from a healthy plant without any diseases. The tower, everything else that's in the tower that's getting need, because nothing else in the tower requires bloom fertilizer. And so yeah, that tells me that it could be either, I haven't been putting a lot of calcium, could be calcium, which I don't think so. I think it has to do something with the levels, right? Because the, where's the bloom in the grow? I still am learning this part, guys, so don't come at me, but obviously levels are different, right? So this one's 7,410, this is 4,8,7. This supports the flower, or this supports the plant during the flowering stage, and if it doesn't proper levels during the flowering stage, then you're going to start to see stuff like that on the leaves, which is why it's important to check your stuff every. You got to be super, super thorough, and nothing gets by me anymore, you guys. I'm not going to let it happen. I literally am just neurotic and obsessive with my garden. Athena IPM with the Athena staff will take care of that real quick. Oh, cool. I'll have to look into that. But Spanish Dray, it is not PM. I've had PM so many times that if it were PM, I'd already have it everywhere else by now because it's been there for a few days and it doesn't have the same powdery spores. I've had PM too many times. More like to admit that I actually know for 100%, I'm confident that it's a deficiency. But I could be wrong, and in a week from now, I could be resetting the entire tent, but let's hope that's not the case. I'm just turning on the exhaust because it's getting hot in here. So, while we chat, I'm going to make some 3%. I use 29% H2O2. I dilute it to 3% because I add it in small amounts when I'm adding nutrients in. So I do 9-to-1 ratio water to hydrogen peroxide. So 100 mils with 29 and 900 mils of distilled water. And then I have just this plastic container that I keep it in, and I add a tablespoon per gallon. So a tablespoon for every 4 liters that I add into my reservoir, and I let it circulate in my system for about a half an hour before I add in my calcium or my nutrients. I get a lot of people asking me what the heck I'm doing and why I would do that, and that H2O2 will complete the purpose of the nutrients. But I've also read that in very small amounts, it can be super beneficial to the root. So that's what I'm banking on. My roots seem happy and everything is behaving the way it's supposed to. So I believe it's still able to uptake the same amount of nutrient that it would if the hydrogen peroxide were omitted from the whole equation. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So that's it. I add my water and my H2O2, and I'm just gonna pour it in here, shake it up in here, and this is what I use for my reservoirs, for my towers, for my buckets. It helps prevent rot, especially with the towers. The towers run 24/7 because I'm using these Bluetooth, they're called Globe Suite plugs. They're great, but you have to create a routine. And so if I want the water to go on and off periodically all day, I'm gonna, like every 5 minutes, I'm gonna have to create like 24 or whatever routines or more. And I just don't have the patience. So the H2O2 comes in handy because the extra oxygen molecule gives oxygen to the roots. And so a lot of the time when stuff is in the tower, the roots start to go brown because it's too much watering. But then introducing the hydrogen peroxide has completely changed it. So are you checking those big tomato plants for light burn? They look close to the lights. Yes, so I don't think it's light burn, only because the light burn looks a little bit different on tomatoes. As you can see, I've got some tomatoes hitting the lights, so I already know what that looks like too. So I'm happy that I'm able to, well, that I've experienced all those things, so that I'm able to do the process of elimination for what the issue is. But I'm being hopeful. I don't think it's any kind of mildew or mold or a disease, but if it persists for another couple days, I'll probably just get rid of them. I've got so many tomatoes, I've got so much stuff, and if I want more, I could just propagate from the ones that are in the buckets. It was more just to understand, without trellis support, how will a tomato do? Water has one oxygen molecule. What's hydrogen peroxide two? Yeah, it's a big difference, ProPyro. That extra oxygen molecule really makes a difference. Roots in my first grow, I didn't use H2O2 at all, and the roots in the first grow were rotting. They were completely brown. They did not look good. Just looking for my paper towel. I had another bit of a leak this morning, so always something to do, you guys, always something to do. So today I'm gonna focus on pruning. I try to do it twice a week so that my plants don't get super stressed out. I just do a little bottle. What's up, Les? Good afternoon, happy Monday. And ProPyro says, I'm thinking of trying to use it on my plant seedlings for faster rooting. Absolutely. I have done some A and B testing where I use this to water my seedlings, which, by the way, I should show you guys. And I experimented. Actually, Les told me to do it. I added a little bit of grow fertilizer, which I before, but Les recommended adding a little bit of hydrogen peroxide and watering your seedlings with that. And it was a game changer, to the degree where my seedlings, I don't know if you guys remember, when it was time to move them into the orange tower, they were like overgrown. So it really makes a difference. ProPyro, if you try it, let me know the effects that it has on your plants. That being said, we got to finish the tour, guys. I forgot. So these are all ready for the green tower. It says romaine lettuce and leaf lettuce. I am going to start watering them with, so mark how they look today, guys. Note this in your minds. Tonight, I'm going to start watering them with a little bit of H2O2 and some grow fertilizer. And I want to show you guys how they're going to take off. And for those of you that were part of the live on Friday, we cleaned the whole green tower. Well, I didn't clean her on the, cleaned her beforehand, and we put her back together. So she's looking really nice and shiny today. And our yellow tower was full with a bunch of flower starts and parsley. But now, because I've moved to the flowers outside, we've just got parsley. But as you can see, it's coming along quite nicely. We've got first true leaves, which means I'm out of the woods for keeping them alive, guys. I don't want to say that too loud because I don't want to jinx it, but with parsley, I find that once they get their first true leaves, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm good. I think I can keep it alive from here on out. Especially with the foam collars, it just makes it so easy. So yeah, pruning. When I first started growing, I'm somebody that overdoes it. I use product, I over prune things, I over process things, I just overdo it with everything. And my first grow, I pruned the crap out of everything, and I stressed everything out, and I was pruning with no direction, so to speak. So the thing I want to make it a point to communicate to you guys is, if you're new at growing, or even if you're not new at growing, something that I do now as a practice, every time before I'm about to start pruning, I ask myself, why? Like, what am I trying to achieve? Am I just defoliating? Am I trying to redirect energy somewhere specific? Am I wanting the plant to grow tall? Do I want it to stay short and go outwards? Really depends on what you are trying to achieve. That will determine how you prune. So most of the time, it's just to defoliate and to allow oxygen circulation, as well as allow the energy, especially when your plants are flowering or in fruit production, depending on what you're growing. Pruning or defoliating can redirect the energy to the area that needs it the most. So a lot of the time people do, especially I'm sure if you guys grow cannabis, which I do not, but I know that a lot of people prune all the lower leaves. It's called lollipopping, and this helps redirect the energy upwards to, I guess, flowering. Even if it's not in a flowering state yet, I think it just it sends a message to the plant to send out more side shoots and just work harder. So what's up, G4T? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope everyone's having a great Monday today. I'm having a good day. I got a lot of stuff off my list, but pruning is one of them, and we got to get her done. So yes, that is something I ask myself every time, is why am I pruning and what am I trying to achieve? So right now I'm trying to achieve, well, it depends on the plant. So for my cucumber, I want proper air circulation, and this is the part where I kind of get all over the place. I want side shoots because side shoots hold fruit, but I also don't want too many because then they're going to take away from the fruit that's currently growing. So for example, this cucumber right here, as well as this one that's about to grow right here, if I prune off all the side shoots, all the energy is going to be focused into growing those, and that's kind of what I want. But at the same time, if I eliminate those side shoots, then I'm taking more fruit away from myself. So then you have to ask yourself, well, are you looking for quantity or quality? And so right now I'm looking for quality, especially with cucumbers. I know the answer should be quantity since I haven't had much success growing cucumbers, and it'd be nice to have a lot. But what good is quantity if the quality sucks, right? So I could have 20 cucumbers that all taste like shit. It doesn't matter that I have 20 cucumbers because they all suck. So I'd rather focus on the quality, and once I have that down, then I'll learn how to maximize the yield. So there's a lot that goes into it. Which one should you focus on first? Should you focus on the yield and then focus on the quality? And sometimes focusing on the yield takes away from the quality, so you can't have it all. So that just leaves me with a million more questions, but we're just gonna cut some leaves off, you guys. So early on when I started my journey, especially with the cucumbers, I just kept pruning up and up and up and up as time went on, and eventually I just had like string with a couple of flowers. I didn't even have proper leaves because I just went nuts and I pruned all of them off, and I for some reason I was so focused on the plant looking pretty that any leaves that had, I'll show you guys, any leaves that had deficiencies like this, I would just cut them right off. And sometimes you need to realize that leaves are where the plant gets its energy from, and so if you cut them all off, the plant's not gonna get enough energy to grow. And it doesn't matter if the leaves have spotting. In fact, sometimes I want that because that's the plant trying to send me a message to tell me something's wrong. Adria, I hope you had a message. Me plucking my eyebrows. Oh, Natimbi, we all know that one. Once you start, you can't stop. So, yeah. So I am reluctant to prune the bottom leaves only because, so I've had so many challenges with cucumbers that in the beginning, I thought that because I pruned off the first fan leaf that made, okay, this is going to sound so ridiculous that I don't even know if I can like put it into words for it to make sense. I pruned off the fan leaf, and for some reason I thought that it was causing like too much exposure in this area and it was making the roots dry out. I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But so I'm gonna leave these leaves on. If anything, they're not bothering me or the plant. So I kind of just go up and I check what I want to get rid of. So when you are pruning, you want to note that there's several different components. So you have your main stem, which is that stem there, and then you have your tendril, your flowers, your fan leaf. This over here is a sucker, but this sucker is the only one that's giving me fruit right now. So as you can see, I don't want to cut all the suckers off. So what I've been doing is every other one I kind of prune off. There was a second cucumber growing here that started to dry out. I did end up pruning that sucker off. So it really just honestly depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I am just gonna put you guys around so you can see what I'm doing. And yes, my cucumber leaves are not perfect. My nutrient levels obviously have work to do, or I have a ways to go, but we got a cucumber, so I'm gonna focus on the win. Spanish Dre says, when you grow fruits and veggies, do you want the fruits to be getting all the light as well, or just the leaves? That is a great question. I'm not sure. You know what? I think plant knows better than we do. If I look at the way these plants are formed, maybe peppers, because peppers are grow under. So maybe peppers don't want all the light because the leaves kind of grow the formation plant. But then maybe tomatoes, they do need the light because I'm sure you've heard of sun-ripened tomatoes. So maybe that's why some tomatoes aren't ripening fast enough, is maybe there's not enough light. So I think it really depends on the plant. That's a great question. I'm gonna have to look into that and let everybody know when I find out. Please don't stress much on the leaves. It's normal. Plants retract energy when they want to. Yeah, I know. I know that it's normal a little bit. I don't stress. I learn everything. And if I just ignore things, then I'm never gonna really understand what they mean or learn them. So even if there's no action required, I still like to know. Okay, so I did let the plant get slightly messy, so I've got to work my way from the bottom. So working our way at the top, suckers here. So this sucker I do not want to prune off because I bought my first cucumber here. However, if I continue up the sucker, I don't have anything else growing. I've got another sucker growing at the top of it, and I've got some flowers, but it's like you have to pick and choose your battles. I have a female flower growing right there, a new cucumber, but I'm going to prune it off because you know what? Let's let the energy focus on the cucumber that's currently growing right now. Plus, we're going to have a lot more coming soon, so we need to be mindful of how much we have growing. Yusef says, do you intend to plant more fruits like watermelons, strawberries, and oranges? Because I don't see them. Well, Yusef, that's because you weren't here at the beginning of the live. But welcome. Thank you for joining. Here I have 4 sugar baby watermelons. My first time growing them, so stay tuned. I will keep you posted as to how they do. And strawberry tower, I just moved it to the buckets. I was growing strawberries in my first grow, had thrips, had to throw them all out. And so there's our strawberry plant in the bucket. Now, soon to be in the yellow tower. It's going to be full of strawberries. So for you wondering, is that the only fruit I'll be growing? No, I'm going to be growing a lot more. I want to get some berry bushes, throw them in the buckets, see how they do. I got big plans, you guys. Okay, so overall, my pruning goal is to create better air circulation because I want to avoid things like powdery mildew. And also, I want all the plants to get the light that they need and that they need. So if I don't get rid of this, it's going to start to overshadow this tomato here. And this tomato deserves to get some light or to have a space of its own. So, I'm just getting it in the trellis here. So I'm actually probably going to just get rid of this whole thing. Not the whole thing, but just enough to create more space. Now, another thing I need to keep in mind is I don't want to prune off too much because the plant knows how many, if I prune off too much, I need to be careful because then I'm going to miss out on the male flowers that I need to pollinate the female flowers. So I mean, there's only one on this, so it's okay, but I also need, there's so many to consider when you're pruning, and a lot of the time I could be overcomplicating it, but I want to just communicate that so that you guys know all the things that go through my head when I'm pruning, versus when I first started growing, I was like, yep, snip, snip, cut this, cut that. By the way, I sliced off a chunk of my finger the other day when I was harvesting lettuce because these are so sharp, so I probably should be playing with them. Tomatoes ripen due to a combination of temperature and a hormone called ethylene. Yes, I know. They actually spray ethylene gas on a lot of our stuff. The presence of specific pigments, ideal temperatures, ripening 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, perfect. I'm at 74. My tent hovers between, it depends. At night, overnight, it's 71, 72, and then during the day, it's usually 74 to 76. And I'm still trying to figure out the humidity. I've got my humidifier running right now, which I usually don't, but because I have the because I have the Pulse Pro, I think what it's trying to tell me is that my humidity is too low. So I'm still trying to figure it out, which is why I haven't talked about it too much, because I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about before I talk about it. Les says they usually get too many males. That is usually the case. However, I just want to be careful. Okay, so I got a nice cucumber growing here, and it's growing off the main stem. So if I follow... What's up, Ray Cassis? Better late than never, man. That's what I always say. Thank you for hanging out and for joining regardless. Happy Monday, you guys. All right, so go up the line. This is the main stem. Now, I trained it on the trellis to go back and forth. So I've got, it goes, the main stem goes all the way down this way, and then it loops around. So all these suckers I've already taken care of. There's nothing here. Oh, okay, so there's one sucker right here, but it's got that flower on it that I think I pollinated properly this morning, so I don't want to take that off. So that is there to stay, but there is another sucker right here. You see that? So you have flower, the tendril, the main stem, and I had already pruned off the fan leaf, so that's how I know this is a sucker. So we're going to get that off. Okay. And then it's actually pretty cool. When you prune, you can see the water actually drip out of the plant after. It's crazy. It holds a lot of water. Okay, and then what I got? Why does this plant feel so much bigger than it is? It's really not that big. Okay, and then I've got the one sucker right here, and that has, okay, so I'm gonna leave this one because this one has tons of male flowers that I need. These are the male flowers that are just on a simple stalk. The female flowers, obviously, I just showed you guys, have the cucumbers sticking out. So they look like that, like this one right here. Whoa. Good job, Natalie. Knock off your second cucumber. All right, so I'm happy with the way the cucumbers look. The only area of concern is kind of like over here. Just feels like there could be, sometimes if the leaves are touching and I lift it, it's actually wet underneath, and if you leave it like that and don't have proper air circulation, then you can get powdery mildew. So rather than prune fan leaves off, I just moved my fan, and I'm just going to let it kind of do its thing and circulate the air. So that for the cucumber. I'm gonna move on to the tomato. So the tomatoes I just pruned a few days ago, but they grow so quickly that you do have to stay on top of it. So a lot of people say prune off these suckers, which are the side shoots. So here we have our main stem, right? And then we've got our leaves. This right here growing on a 45, that's a sucker. Most people say get rid of that so that you can focus on root health and I guess like a more vegetative state, more leaf growth. But I leave the suckers on because they produce fruit. But the question is, do you let it focus on the fruit that's currently growing? Because if for example, these tomatoes that I have here have been this size for about a week now, and they're not ripening. And is it because I have too many side shoots with too many flowers and too many tomatoes growing? So what's my goal, right? Because if they don't ripen accordingly and I leave them on the vine like that, their water content can be too high, and then they start to taste like how tomatoes from the grocery store taste, like nothing. So because I want them to have flavor, they've got to be harvested at the perfect time. But if they're not ripe, then I can't harvest them at the perfect time. And so about figuring out how to trigger that. And as G4T said on Google, there is a way to trigger that by making sure your temperatures are correct. And I'm sure there's something we can do with the environment to provoke ethylene so that it can ripen faster. But yeah, guys, it's right now with the tomatoes, my goal is to defoliate. So anything that's already producing tomatoes, I'm gonna leave, but sometimes I do end up taking off flowers or stems with flowers. So I'm just gonna go through here. If the sucker is small enough, then I might prune it off, just because I'm trying to let what's currently growing just grow. So for example, this one here, just gonna take that one off. So with the tomatoes, they can also harbor PM, and I've had PM enough times where I'm trying not to spray anything that prevents PM, any preventative or even a treatment on my plants. So in order to avoid PM altogether, I have to make sure I'm constantly defoliating to allow for proper air circulation. So sometimes I don't overthink it. As long as I clear up most of the stuff that just kind of doesn't serve the plant right now. I read somewhere that you don't want to prune anything above where the fruit's going. So normally you prune anything below where the root is starting to grow. So yeah, and then I just go around when I'm done pruning and I clip anything that needs to be clipped or supported, just to make sure that, because I've come in here before and I have certain branches that are just down because the tomato plant isn't supported. Especially when it starts to grow fruit, I definitely make it a habit of using the clips just to add some extra support. Gotta make sure to not cut trellis. These scissors are so freaking sharp, you guys. Cut my finger again. As you guys will get to know me, you'll see I'm not very coordinated. I'm very clumsy and I just mess stuff up all the time. But it makes it entertaining. Alright, so so this one is a little bit of a mess. It's getting quite big. I'm just going to go around and prune stuff that I feel like I just don't need. And because I have a bit of an overactive brain, I'm like, squirrel! And I jump around from plant to plant. So if you guys are wondering, I'm all over the place. It's because I'm me, and that's how I am. Okay, so this over here, we're gonna get rid of this. As you guys can see, it's like not serving us any good. It's gonna begin to grow out and overshadow the watermelon. And it's only got one flower anyway, so I don't really care. I'm gonna get rid of that. But you can see a lot of people use like strength trainers and stuff, but this is its own strength trainer. It used its own weight to bend itself, which is pretty cool, you guys. What makes it entertaining for me is how you do it. The growing and showing of progress is awesome. Thank you so much, Pro Pyro. I try my best. I want to show people everything that goes into it. A lot of people think like, oh, wow, like she has this tent, but she probably doesn't even know what she's doing. And I don't. And so I want to learn with you guys. And whether it's you guys commenting in the chat and telling me I'm doing something wrong, you know, us having a conversation about it. I just want to show it all. I don't want to make it look polished. There's always stuff along the way that you learn, right? By the way, for those of you that just joined, I was talking about the zinnias earlier, and one I harvested that I don't know if it's going to grow back. Check it out. It's still not done producing more petals, and the center's really filling out with the yellow. So this is called a zinnia flower. I harvested it and just put it in some water, and I just leave it on my workstation. It's so cute. Flowers in the grow tent. It's nice seeing it on a daily basis too. I'm always bummed when I miss a live. Oh, thanks, Natimbi. Appreciate that. I do post the replays for those of you that are interested. I know it can be interesting to see the process and how everything works, or like, for example, you guys have been part of everything, so you guys were with me when we started the flower seeds. I take you outside this summer and I show you my full-blown flower garden. You guys were a part of that, so it'll be exciting for you guys too, because I'm a bit invested, because you know, you guys are with me every day watching what I do. So that's kind of the goal behind it, is to make it feel like this is your journey too, you guys. It's not just mine. But on that note, last time I did a harvest live where I had salad, Les said that I should actually eat some tomato leaves, and I told you guys I was gonna make a salad out of tomato leaves, but the next day I woke up and I was like, I ain't having a salad with tomato leaves, so Les, you can have tomato leaves if you want. Alright, so just going around. Anything that's kind of causing overlap or whatever, I'm just getting rid of it. You can see here it's kind of getting bushy, so I just want to be mindful, and whether it's spreading something out trellis or just making sure that it's out of each other's way. Whatever I'm doing, it's got to be for a reason. I'm actually going to turn my buckets on to let them run, because I still think something's clogged in the lines. I can hear it doesn't sound right. And if I leave it on, maybe it'll push out whatever's stuck in there. Just leave it on and see. I feel like some of my plants are looking a little wilty, so after everything we did yesterday, I would be so pissed if there's still something wrong. So it might look like I'm cutting too much or pruning too much, but to be honest, I've been careful with the pruning in the past, and these just grow faster than I can keep up, so honestly, they'll be fine. Plus, sometimes a little bit of stress is good for a plant. I have to figure out why, but I know it is. I don't know why, though. You know when someone knows something, when they tell you that they don't know anything, it makes sense if you don't think about it. Actually, I guess so. I can't say I don't know what I'm doing or I don't know anything, because obviously I'm on here doing something and talking to you guys about it, but when I say I don't know what I'm doing, I mean I'm not trying to come on here and pretend like I'm a professional grower and like I know everything. I'm very much learning. For those of you watching, if you just joined or whatever, if you don't know much about me, I just started growing not even 2 years ago. It's going to be 2 years on July 3rd. July 3rd, I decided to tend to some strawberry seedlings, and the rest is history. I'm just going to turn on the fans because it's getting hot in here. All right. Oh, thank you. I keep it real. I try to keep it real, you guys. I show you everything, even if I'm embarrassed, because I am sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, it holds me accountable, though. Every morning, I come in here and I do everything, because the last thing I want is to show up on a live and have something really bad happen or have screwed up my plants. So try to keep it real as possible, because I hate that when you see somebody online or on YouTube or whatever, and they make them look so easy, and then you end up trying it for yourself, and you have just so many unanswered questions because they look way too easy. So I try to let you guys know that I'm still very much learning, and that yeah, that I am human just like everybody else, and I don't know everything. I wish I knew everything, though. But actually learning, I usually don't like to learn, to be honest with you. School was never my thing, and I just, like, I'm very careless. I don't care. My first grow, the nozzles weren't working. Oh, maybe it's hot. I gotta turn down the lights in here. Hang on. Usually when I'm working, I turn down the lights so I don't hurt my eyes. And I forgot to do that. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm so careless. I don't care. Like whenever I have like tests or exams or stuff in school, I would literally do it hours before it was due, sometimes minutes, and sometimes I wouldn't even do it at all just because I didn't care. And so now it's this whole thing, because you know, I have the plants to tend to. I feel responsible for them, but I also feel responsible for keeping up the plants and keeping them alive, because then when I come show you guys, I want you guys to be, oh wow, I learned something, or wow, this is so cool. So you guys hold me accountable to keep the plants alive and to stay consistent and be disciplined, which is crazy, but I'm evolving because of this. So you guys not only get to watch the plants grow, but you get to watch me grow, which probably isn't that fun. Yes, so I try to be real as possible. I am also tough on myself. Yes, I'm very tough on myself. But to be honest, a lot of the time in life, we are all our own worst critic. And if you're not, sometimes I see that as a problem. Sometimes you have to be your own worst critic. Because if you think you're perfect, you're never going to learn and evolve, right? So if my first grow, I was like, meh, this is fine. PM, I got stuff growing, everything's great. And I wouldn't evolve and I wouldn't learn everything I'm learning now. And every time you learn something new, it opens more doors, and there's just, learning is fun. And it's getting carried away now, guys. And probably too much CO2 in here is making me crazy. Alright, so I'm just gonna power through this, finish up. Sometimes I prune too much, and as I've cut off something, I'm like, uh-oh. But it's okay. The beauty of plants is it's like hair. It just grows back. So even though this one was growing tomatoes or flowers, part of my goal in pruning is to keep things at a certain height. I don't want this growing above the lights. I've had it in the past where they do, and then I can't reach it, I can't harvest, and then it just makes a mess. So I'm just going to actually prune this entire section. And then if I wanted to, I could just throw it in the tower and propagate it. But we now know that the tower is lacking the proper nutrients. However, I'm going to be adding strawberries into this tower very soon. And once I do, I'm going to be introducing the bloom fertilizer. So this will be the only tower with the proper fertilizer to support plants that flower. At which point I can add in the tomatoes and see how to do. Do I actually have a small ladder? Oh, yes, I have a ladder, and then I have this kneeler that I got, and sometimes I use that as a ladder. This tent is 8 feet high, and I'm 5 feet, so if I want to reach the top, I absolutely need a ladder, and everything's plugged into the top, right? So, short people problems. So yeah, I'm just letting the water run just to make sure as I go down the line and I prune stuff, I want to make sure that I don't have any nozzles that aren't working. I don't want any problems. Sometimes, you know, you get too comfortable, you think, oh, everything's automated, I can chill, and then you realize that you missed something important. And even though everything's automated, I can't predict a nozzle head getting clogged and the mister's not working. So these are things to consider. Alright, so we're really thinning these tomatoes out, but that's what we want, you guys. Since I'm not using chemicals or anything to spray on my plants to prevent PM, I really need to stay on top of caring for them in other ways, aka pruning. So I just also weave them in the trellis in a way where they're not really overlapping or causing issues amongst each other. Oh, see this branch here, it was, let me show you guys. If you can see that, it was sticking out like this, and I didn't support it because I have to add a trellis here still, that it just broke. I could tape it. I told you guys recently on the last live, I taped my tomato plant after breaking it, and it completely repaired itself in both spots. I broke it in 2 spots, and it just completely repaired itself, which was crazy to me. So even though that's a fruit pruning branch, I am not keeping it because I've already got too many, and I also need to leave energy for the fruits currently growing, you know? I've got tomatoes there. What else am I getting off? Sometimes you just gotta make the call. Like that had 2 flower clusters, but I can't. I'd rather have better quality tomatoes and less of them than have, you know, a ton of tomatoes, then PM the next day, and then I gotta get rid of them all. man, I'm trying to get this tomato in the trellis so it doesn't stick out. If the tomatoes stick out too much, then I walk by them and I just rip the stem right out because I move too fast, you guys. All right, better. Will you have enough room in the tent once everything gets big? Yes, absolutely. There's so much room in this tent that I still have 3 more grow towers, and I'm like, maybe get them in here because now that I've got this under control, I want more. If you want to help, smash the like. It helps the channel get it. Oh, thank you so much, Pro Pyro. But yeah, everybody listen to Pro Pyro. Smash that like button. 3 that I broke in tops off accidentally are surviving. Wow, congrats, Les. That is a good feeling. Yes, the eggs, Les F. I don't know if you meant to type that in French, but oh, less of. Oh, I thought you meant eggs, like the tomato-shaped eggs. I thought I mentioned that I speak French to you guys, and I thought you were writing something in French. I had this one huge top giant flower. Oh, if you snap the top off, just tape it, and it will repair itself. I'll show you guys really quick the tomato that I snapped the top off. So I still can't fully. Okay, so this is one of the spots. It's snapped in half. It was completely broken. There was like I was gonna say there's blood everywhere, but there was water everywhere. And I added, yes, it's painter's tape, but that's all I had. And it repaired itself, no problem. It was so impressive. And this here, it also broke, but if I try to take the tape off now, I might risk breaking the plant again. I'll try to get it off. Hang on. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not, because then this is starting to swing around. I'm like, no, gonna break something. What's up, Free Thinker? Thank you for hanging out. Day is going great. I'm tired. I had a lot to do this weekend in terms of getting all my plants outside, getting the flower garden ready, and then yesterday, just tedious work in the grow tent. So I'm tired, but I'm good. So yeah, guys, I'm just going to finish this off, but that's really it for today. Really just defoliating. Actually, you know what? Let me get that all together. See, sometimes you have to make the call. Less is more. But yeah, other than that, everything's looking okay. Oh, dropped something. And tomorrow we'll go through and we'll prune the pepper plants and just kind of overall see any opportunities for improvement in the grow tent. I try to make it a point a couple times a week where I just do a really thorough walk around. I check the leaves, I check if it requires support, I check the watering, I check everything just to make sure there's nothing I'm missing. If I want my garden to look perfect always, this is what I must do. So I have a tray or something to put all my waste, but it's just sitting on my workstation, so I'll have to get a compost bag or something. Normally I would throw it outside, but if I throw it outside, it attracts the bunnies, and I don't want the bunnies because then they eat my flowers. And even though I have chicken wire and stuff, it's just not what I want to deal with. So yeah, guys, that's it for today. We finished pruning the tomatoes for now. Every time I get off one of these lives, I end up pruning a little more. I know I'm busy talking, so I'm not really paying attention. Do they look a little bare? Yes, but you'll see in a couple of days they'll be back probably twice as much foliage as before. So and then our cucumber, it's looking a little better now, and hopefully it'll just provide best opportunity for everything else to thrive. So guys, thank you for hanging out with me. What a great way to start off the week. I hope everyone had a great Monday. Les says, have you ever had cucumber beetles? I just checked my zucchini outside and I have a bunch. No, however, I was just reading yesterday that if you plant sage, it can deter. So try planting some sage and it should deter the beetles. But yeah, you guys have a great afternoon or whatever time it is, rest of your day. And thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys. I always have fun chatting it up and hanging with you guys. I'm surprised you want to listen to what I have to say, but awesome. I'll take it and I appreciate it. So for those of you that are new, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're into all things indoor gardening, aeroponics, growing your own food, or just good vibes in general. So have a great afternoon and we will see you tomorrow, same time, 12 p.m. Bye guys. Have a good one.